one of the things that's been really kind of cool for me to realize as I've grown just a little bit in my faith over the many years is that God gives each one of us, everybody that's on this Zoom call, everybody, he gives each one of us gifts, and I also really believe that he gives us passions and dreams. And I think sometimes our passions that we have, we can use them to help us make a living. Sometimes we have to make a living and use our passions as a hobby. But he gives us passions, and he also gives us dreams. And God can take those gifts and those passions and those dreams, and he can use them to impact his kingdom. And that's been a really cool thing for me to observe in other people as I have kind of continued on this journey. Just think of as a little leaguer, you practiced and you played and you had dreams of being maybe the next Chipper Jones or the next Derek Jeter or the next Clayton Kershaw, whatever, or Roberto Clemente. You had dreams of being that next guy. And I remember as a little boy, I grew up on a farm, and we raised tobacco, and we had these wooden sticks that we used to put the tobacco plants on. They were really heavy, and we'd put 4 or 5 tobacco plants on one stick, and then we would lift those tobacco plants into a barn, and it was very hard work. Brian Fuller, some of you Kentucky boys might know what I'm talking about, but those tobacco sticks back in the day, they were made out of hickory, and I used to whittle the ends of those down, and it would make kind of a handle, and they were just the right length. And we had a little gravel lane that went back to our barn, and I used to pick those rock up and hit them with those tobacco sticks. And I did that for hours and hours every week. And I would, when at bat, I would do left-handed, and I'd be Tony Oliva or Mickey Mantle. And then I would turn around right-handed. I'd be Willie Mays or Roberto Clemente or the great players of that era. And I would pretend that I'd watch their swings, and I would try to emulate their swings. And I remember thinking, someday I'm going to be like Mickey Mantle. And I would dream, and I'd have these big dreams. But you know what? I never became a Mickey Mantle. I never became a Willie Mays or a Roberto Clemente. But God used those dreams and those passions and perhaps some of the gifts to help me to become a coach. And as a coach or a teacher or as an executive or as a scout, you can use those gifts, those passions, those dreams to impact other people for the kingdom. And so God has a plan. I know you've heard that many times, but he has a plan. And his plan is to take those gifts that he gives us and help us to use those to make an impact for the kingdom. I really believe that. So whether it's in our family or in our workplace or perhaps on a team that you coach or a group that you're in, you all have influence. You all have influence to make an impact for the kingdom. So here's the final point. Whatever role that you have in life, I really believe that God wants us to give our best effort. He wants us to, whatever position he puts us in life, he wants us to be our best at that, whatever we're doing, whether it's, before some of you came on, we were talking about Rusty Strapp, who's on this Zoom call. He's been a college player. He's been a coach. He's a writer. He's now an interim pastor, and he does a lot of different things. But each one of those things that he's done and what he's doing now, God wants him to give his best effort. And I think of that verse that I know many Christian coaches have used this verse, and it's Colossians 3:23. I'm going to read it to you. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord and not for human masters. And so whatever we're doing, whether we're running a business or whether we are coaching or whether we're playing or whether we're scouting, whatever we're doing, we're to work at it with all of our hearts. And if we do it as if we're working for God, we're going to be excellent in what we do. And we want excellence. We want excellence from the people we work with or that work for us. We want excellence if we're a coach and for the players that play for us. So we want excellence. So I believe that's what God wants from us. He doesn't, I really get, and some of you may disagree with this, I really get weary when I hear Christians say, like, I'm not going to do anything about that. God will take care of that. I don't believe that's what God wants. He wants us to do something about it. And then he's going to help us. He's going to encourage us. He's going to give us the tools. And he's going to give us the energy to do it. But I really believe, I may have mentioned this before, but I kept this quote on my desk for years. Work as if everything depends upon you, yet pray knowing everything depends upon God. I think Ignatius said that. And that's what I think God has called us to do. We're supposed to work with all of our hearts, but we're supposed to pray with all of our hearts too, and let God use the gifts and abilities that he has given us to bring honor and glory to his kingdom and to impact people. So, I look at the scouts we have on here, Rich and Marty, and maybe there's a couple others. I look at the coaches, positions of influence, positions where you can make an impact. And it's that way for all of us. We can, it might be our family. It might be our office setting, but we can make an impact.